One day he was just walking along, just whistling a silly tune he had heard somewhere, just thinking of nothing in particular, just as if he didn't have a care in the world. Actually, Sam did have very few cares. He wasn't married, he didn't have a job, no children, didn't really have any close relationships, didn't really need any money except to buy cigarettes, the price of which had made him have to stay out panhandling it longer, it seemed, each month. He got breakfast at a supper at a homeless central, each and every day, except when they had the very occasional close for a day or so. But then he would go to a nearby church that would give meals and shelter a few people each day. And one time he had gotten day jobs. Those jobs were someone would hire a person to help move or rake leaves or do some other needed but menial task for several hours. But he had stopped doing that for quite some time. He got to the shelter about 5 or 7. The men along with a few women were lining up to get the evening meals. Some cornbread squares, some carrot and potato soup, 2 chunks of ring bologna, a small dish of tapioca, and a cup of coffee. "What, Jake, how'd you do today?" he asked the guy sitting next to him. "Oh, I got enough to buy a bottle of Old Mission," Jake said, referring to the bottle of cheap wine he had bought. "I didn't get enough to buy a pack of cigarettes. I'm going to have to dig out of my can of Prince Albert and papers till my own," he said. He didn't drink at all, but he was extremely addicted to tobacco. "The problem," he continued, "is that some people think I'm smoking whack-a tobacco. Then they want some too. I don't know how you stand smoking. If I even have a drag, I cough all night," Jake said. "Yeah, well, you know how it is," Sam said. "I sure wish they would have something different than tapioca for dessert." And then, for a while, they were in their own world, oblivious to everything around them. Sam finally broke the silence. "I've got to get up early in the morning. I've got lice to do." "Yeah, me too," laughed Jake. Soon they were in their bunks, each snoring like a chainsaw, binding in a twisted branch, along with 40 other men. Most of them were sleeping off the wine they had been drinking all day. In the morning, the lights would come on at 6:30. A man banging on a pan would wake everyone up, then would herd them to breakfast. Usually they got cold cereal, sometimes hot cereal, often, but not always, with toast also. After breakfast, Sam would always go to the nearby lake, sitting there on a bench, watching the seagulls, smoking his cigarettes, just waiting for the afternoon. Then he would get up, meeting the ward downtown. He generally would go to a cross street between the street, where most of the banks were, and a street having a lot of restaurants catering to the business lunch crowd. When the weather got cold, he would bring a mat to sit on, but in the summer he would generally just sit on the sidewalk. Sometimes he would stand, but just standing there got to be hard on his legs. Besides, he seemed to get more money if he sat. As this summer wore on, and being an election year, there were a lot of billboards with candidates from this party or that party. Sam never did care much for any of them. "Too highfalutin for me," he would always say. After the tight spring, that particular summer seemed to be better than past years. Maybe it's the election, or maybe it's the politicians this year, thought Sam. That night, Sam and Jake. "Are you getting more money, Letty?" "I think I am at that. Of course, inflation is up, so I suppose they're just giving the same amount, actually," said Jake. "A couple years ago, I think I was even doing better, but that has been a while ago, so I honestly don't remember." "Where are you from, Jake?" asked Sam. "Oh, I grew up on a farm in India. How about you?" "My dad left my mother when I was about 10, and I haven't heard from him since. Mom died a few years ago, so I'm pretty much alone. Did you ever think about going back to the farm?" "No way. I've just had too much of that. By the way, I'm taking Betty to the movies this weekend." "Betty? Who's that?" "She's a gal that just moved upstairs. I think she's going back to her mother's place next week, but we have a date this weekend. It's been a while since I've been out with anyone. I just don't feel up to it. Still, I think you should go out once in a while. It'd do you good." "Yeah, well, you know how it is. Maybe one of these days." Sam went down to the lake that evening. He did not usually go to the lake in the evening, but he did that evening, smoking several cigarettes. Sam really was doing very well that summer. The donations built up. He had almost $100 after buying a carton of cigarettes. That was more money than he had ever had at the time. As he was panhandling the next day, a girl had a radio with the volume turned up. She was talking to a friend when the song they were listening to had just finished. They were so absorbed in their discussion they did not even notice the music was over. Instead, John Willicatter, a local politician, was campaigning. "We've got to get these people working." Willicatter campaigned long and hard. Ads on the radio, ads on TV, ads in the paper, on the billboards, ads everywhere. John Willicatter was a successful businessman, was long involved in politics, and now was ready to become even more involved. He was putting a lot of money into the advertisements, was making speeches everywhere he could, had the backing of the leaders of the party, and had good poll numbers. If he did well in the state elections, he might even go to the national politics. The money people were already eyeing him as a congressman. Sam had a radio that he listened to once in a while. That evening, he listened to a report on Will Actor candidacy. Here was a man who grew up poor, worked his way through college, made it big in business, and now was going into politics, eventually doing well there also. Sam thought what I disliked about life is there's no ambition, no attainment, no variety in it. Yes, he thought, I'll get a job, maybe even go to school. I'll make something of myself. He went back to the church where he occasionally stayed. The next morning he got up some, dug out his money, and went shopping. He went to the nearest second-hand store, bought himself some decent-looking clothes, shaved the new razor, got dressed, and went out looking for work. He was just walking along, just whistling a silly tune, thinking of how he was going to succeed at his job, not really having a care in the world. He stepped off the curb to cross the street. Blam! He got hit by a car. He lay on the street, moaning. He died right there. The driver stepped out of the car screaming, "What have I done? What have I done?" The driver was John Willichter. John never did recover, losing his job, losing his wife, losing the election, losing everything, drinking, becoming an alcoholic. His wife took most of the money he had. Soon he was forced to panhandle just to get some money to buy his booze. It did not take long for John to find all the haunts that Sam had. He even became friends with Jake, though neither knew the connection. Jake and John soon became drinking buddies. One day John was just walking along, just whistling a silly tune he had heard somewhere, just not thinking of anything in particular, just as if he didn't have a care in the world.